All right, so the biggest talk of the Raptors offseason so far, and some news that actually came out of Indiana a day or two ago, um, is basically that Victor Oladipo is unhappy in Indiana and does not want to be there next season, maybe even this season, if Indiana is willing to trade him. One of the destinations that have come up, that's a real possibility, is the Toronto Raptors. Um, it's going to be a little bit more complicated when it comes to actually doing this trade, but we're going to dive right into it and figure out a way to do so. So before we get into the trade talks about Victor Oladipo and the Toronto Raptors, I want to dive into a little bit about Victor Oladipo as a person and a player, what he was before all these trade talks happened. So right now, the Indiana Pacers do not want to give him a max contract or even near a max contract, just because of his injury history the last couple of seasons. He wasn't initially planning on playing in the bubble when the whole restart was going to begin, but he kind of did tell the media a few times that he did not want to play, and he was trusting his body, and he's going to do whatever his body kind of tells him to, similar to what Kawhi Leonard kind of went through. Except Kawhi Leonard's like, I'm not playing. And Oladipo had the same injury. I believe he had a quad tear. It might have been a little bit more severe, but it was the same kind of injury. And Oladipo, before the injury in 2018, he won the Most Improved Player. He was All Defensive First Team. Um, he was a two-time All-Star before the injuries. And, he looked like a player on the rise and living up to the expectations of that number 2 pick in the 2013 draft when Orlando picked him. He's kind of moved around, obviously, from Orlando to OKC to the Indiana Pacers. Indiana took a chance on him, got rid of Paul George, and also got Domantas Sabonis. So they got 2 All-Stars for the price of 1. Obviously not right away, but as they progressed through the years with Indiana. And he also went to the college in Indiana as well. So he's kind of like a fan favorite there. Only problem is Oladipo, they're not on good terms right now, and I don't know if Indiana's willing to trade him or if they're just going to play it out. But more than likely they will, just based on the fact that they don't want to see a player walk out and not get any assets for it. And he's been regressing the last 3 seasons, obviously. The first year when he did get that all-defensive first team, and he was also the 2018 steals leader throughout the NBA, he was averaging 23 points. And then the year after, he went down because he didn't play as many games because that was, I believe, he got the injury somewhere at the end of January in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And ironically, it was against the Toronto Raptors where that happened, unfortunately. But he went down to about 18.8 points, so close to 19 points. And then this past season, he only averaged about 14 and a half points. But, that's not his fault because he didn't come back to play until right before the whole COVID-19 thing happened. I believe he got a few games in there before he got the little 4-month layoff because of the COVID-19 breakout. And then he played in the bubble, I believe 6 out of 8 games. And then obviously in the playoffs, but they didn't get far because he wasn't himself. Domantas Sabonis was injured, and they got swept by the, who did they play? Sorry. I was thinking it was the Boston Celtics, but that was last season. They got swept by the Miami Heat, who are obviously in the finals right now, so kudos to those guys. But yeah, this trade is, it could be a plus for the Raptors if it ends up with him being healthy. There are rumors that we could do a sign and trade with Fred Vanvleet. Obviously, he's going into this offseason looking for a big payday, and he deserves it for sure. He averaged about close to 20 points in the playoffs, averaged about 18 in the regular season, and he's definitely had a couple more. These past couple of seasons, he's definitely had better years than Victor Oladipo. Even though he's had a few few injuries here and there, and I'm referring to Fred VanVleet. He's been able to stay healthy for most of the season, and when we needed him the most. But with Fred VanVleet, let me know in the comment section if you think you would. I mean, would you be willing to take your shot on Victor Oladipo and give up Fred VanVleet? I'm on kind of on the fence about it just because of Victor Oladipo's injury history. But overall, he's more of a natural two guard. He's 6'4". He is a couple years older than VanVleet. He's 28. And if he can get back to his original form, I would definitely do it because he's kind of like that go-to scorer that we didn't have this season, especially in the playoffs against the Boston Celtics. He's that guy that could kind of, penetrate the defense and get into the lane and even shoot those clutch baskets at times. Um, I don't want to get into that last shot Fred VanVleet took before the Celtics series was over in that Game 7, but, you know, the one downfall about Fred VanVleet is that when there's bigger people in the paint, like, for example, against Philadelphia, even Orlando Magic last season in the playoffs, he really struggled to get inside the paint, and you saw that against the Boston Celtics. Brooklyn obviously was an easier matchup because they were undermanned, but can you imagine having Kevin Durant in the paint, and obviously Kyrie on the other hand is even more of a handful than Karis LeVert. So we got lucky with that, but I highly doubt they would have even been the 7th seed if they were a healthy team. But yeah, that's the only downfall about Fred VanVleet. I'm pretty sure Fred VanVleet is a better three-point shooter than Victor Oladipo. The only thing is Kyle Lowry is getting, up there in age, even though he is aging like fine wine. But we got to get prepared to have that point guard that's going to take his spot in the starting role. And if we give up Fred VanVleet, who's going to take that role? Victor Oladipo is a natural two guard. He can play the point guard at times, but his best fit is at the shooting guard position. And with with Victor Oladipo, his stats that year when he became an All-Star for the very first time, I believe he averaged, if I'm not mistaken, he averaged 23 1 points, 4.3 assists, had averaged 2.9 turnovers, a league best 2.4 steals, zero point 0.8 blocks, had 175 personal fouls. He made 161 three-pointers out of 434 attempts, which was about 37% from three. He averaged about 5.2 rebounds, and he made 640 field goals out of 1,342 for about a little under 48% from the field, and his free throw percentage was just a little under 80%, roughly 80%. So those are all really solid numbers, and this is pre-injury. After his injury, the season following, and in January when he got injured, up until that point of the injury, he averaged about 18.8 points, 5.2 assists, 2.3 turnovers, 1.7 steals, 0.3 blocks, averaged 5.6 rebounds. He made 74 three-pointers out of 216 attempts for 34%, so he went down a little bit. And he made 249 field goals out of 588 attempts, 42%. So he went down in both categories in percentage for field goals made and three-pointers made. And then free throw percentage also went down to 73%. And then, this is a small sample size because he didn't play that much this season, but his average for the season was 14.5 points, 2.9 assists, 2.5 turnovers, 0.9 steals, 0.2 blocks, 3.9 rebounds, only made 33 three-pointers out of 104 attempts for 31.7%, so just under 32%. And then the field goals, he made 97 out of 246 for 39%, and then free throws was 48 out of 59 for 81%. So all in all, you can see the regression, but you cannot count this sample size of this season because he's only played a handful of games, whether it was before the bubble or after the bubble. And he just wasn't himself. You could tell the movement wasn't there. And then with the past season, the one right before he got injured, he was on a solid trajectory to probably average close to 20, 22 points if he stayed healthy. But you could see the potential there, and we can't just write him off because we've had people like we've had players in the past with injuries that were way more horrific than what he went through, that have come back and got back to that All Star level or even close to the All Star level. Paul George broke his leg. Even though Pandemic P in the playoffs has been horrible these past few seasons, when he was with OKC right before he got traded to the Clippers, he was coming off being the third place in the MVP voting because he went crazy. He was averaging close to 29 points in OKC that year. And Hayward, he's still coming a year off his injury where he broke his ankle, and he kind of he averaged close to about 20 points as well. So you see them coming back to form, and then Kawhi Leonard, no one took a bet on him except for the Toronto Raptors. You saw how that worked out for us. He got a whole year and a half to kind of recover, plus load management, and he carried us to an NBA championship. Well, he didn't carry us, but when we needed him most, hit those big time shots. He was there to hit them for us and carry us basically in those moments. I would take a chance on Victor Oladipo just because of the potential that's there on the defensive end and his clutch shooting. A good sample size is from that series in 2018 with the Cleveland Cavaliers, where they took him to 7 games and they're about one goaltending block away or goaltending call away from possibly beating the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round. And Victor Oladipo hit some big time shots in that playoff series for sure. But I don't know, steady Freddie, man. I mean, I really want to see him be a Raptor long term, but I don't see how any other way this trade would work. Or this, yeah, it looks like it has to be a sign and trade. If not, maybe we do a sign and trade with Serge Ibaka, because there are rumors about Miles Turner possibly being on the trading block. He's kind of in a similar situation to Victor Oladipo, but I don't see why Indiana would do that. Basically try to get another power forward / center when they try to trade one away. It's between Miles Turner and Sabonis in that situation, but that's for Indiana to figure out, not us over here. But yeah, I mean, if Steady Freddy's the only price that they're willing to bet on, I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on this, but you guys let me know what you guys want to do. Like I said earlier, but Victor Oladipo is a natural 2 guard, and even though this backcourt of Lowry and Vanvleet's working, we have a limited time with them, and Vanvleet's going to either take the future point guard position for us, or he's going to possibly be in the sign and trade, and Masai Ujiri is going to take another bet on Victor Oladipo. This isn't a no-brainer like it was with DeMar and Kawhi. Obviously, Kawhi is in another level when it comes to superstardom. He's more like a top 5 player in the league, and Victor Oladipo, if healthy, is probably a top 20, top 25. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think. Shout out to Raptors Digest for this dope-ass picture. Switching up the jerseys. I found it on Google. But I do, tune into their podcast, and they have some really good content. So if you're a fan of theirs, or if you're not, check them out. And yeah, we'll see you back here for another video. But till then, stay blessed, stay woke, and please stay safe. Peace!